Hello, my brothers and sisters. This is Alex Mobley from the Body of Believers Unified YouTube channel. Today, we got a very special guest. We got historian Daniel Humphrey doing chapter 2 of his documentary, Finding Your Identity, The Search for Who We Are. We're glad to have you, Daniel, and thank you. And take it away, my brother.
Yes, thank you. How you doing, brothers and sisters? This is Daniel Humphrey. I'm just going to discuss about Africa, about the first civilization was from Africa, and a lot of different resources, the real original name and everything. So here we go. Africa is considered by most paleoanthropologists and geologists to be the oldest inhabited territory on Earth, with the human species originating from the continent, which it tells you the first life on Earth was in Africa, which right there you know there had to be some melanated people, because you know Africa is pretty hot, and you know back then there was no such thing as sunscreen, so we know that it was has to be melanated people in Africa. That's one thing they told us. And here it goes. What is the original name of Africa? The original name of Africa is Alkebulan. And I'm going to explain what that means. Alkebulan, according to experts that research the history of the African continent, the original ancient name of Africa was Alkebulan. This name translates to either mother of mankind or, according to other sources, the Garden of Eden. Alkebulan is an extremely old word, and its origins are indigenous. So think about the word indigenous. Indigenous means native. So it was native to our people. So that was the original word. So Africa means the Garden of Eden. And this goes with the monotheism religions. Monotheism is the doctrine or belief that there is only one God. So Christianity, Islam, and Judaism is part of that. So they believe in the Old Testament about the Adam and Eve story. So it had to stimulate from Africa. Just to let people know. Because you don't hear this in church. Like, I never even knew that. I had to research on my own to find out. So I'm letting you know early in time. So here we go. Africa was the first civilization. What does civilization mean? I got it right here for you. The stage of human, social, and cultural development and organization that is considered more advanced. So think about that. We was the first people who were civilized, which made us advanced. Because a lot of people back then in the Caucasus Mountains wasn't that advanced. We was building pyramids. We was building all kind of stuff. And back then, it used to be called, right here, I got it right here, which means African descendants was there in Egypt. It was called Ancient Kemet, the original name, until Europeans took it over and called it Egypt. So they made this name Egypt up. But I know we're going to talk about it because that's how people know it as, is Egypt. But it was actually Kemet. So I asked this question too, just to prove that black people was there. I asked this, was the Egyptians black? And right here from Google it says, the Egyptians are the same group of people as the modern Egyptians, Afrocentric, which means the ancient Egyptians were black Africans, displaced by later movements of peoples, for example, the Greeks, the Romans, and the Arab conquest, which it tells you that it was black people before the conquest again taken over. So we was the original. And I'm going to tell you about who was the Greeks. You have the Alexander the Greek, or the Great, or however you want to say it, or the Ptolemies. It was the original Greeks, which was and considered Jews. And then you got the Romans. You got Mark Antony and Caesar Augustus. So that's for the Romans. And then for the Arabs, you got Rashidun troops and Arab caliphates. So think about that. These three groups took over Africa after we made the first civilization. And right here, just to even prove it too, they knocked off the nose and the upper lip of the sphinx. That's what you call it today. But it was known originally Harmaket, which means Horus of the horizon. Now, if you know about Horus, you would know that some stories are stolen from that concept from Ethiopia, which was ancient Kemet. They both was one and one. So that's what the original name of the Sphinx was. Just to let people know on that. And I got a special treat. I got this Nas verse from his album God's Son called I Can. Before we came to this country, we were kings and queens, never porch monkeys. There was empires in Africa called Kush, Timbuktu, where every race came to get books, to learn from black teachers who taught Greeks and Romans, Asian Arabs, and gave them gold when gold was converted to money. It all changed money, then it became empowerment for Europeans. The Persian military invaded. They heard about the gold, the teachings, and everything sacred. Africa was almost robbed naked. Slavery was money, so they began making slave ships. Egypt was the place that Alexander the Great went. He was so shocked at the mounds with black faces, chopped their nose to impose what basically still goes on today, you see. Which he mixed a lot of history in this verse. Things I'm teaching you, he said in this one verse, if you listen to that song, which he learned about it from his father, Oldara, who knew about ancient Kemet. So that's why, we have people that do teach us, even though we don't look at it that way. He was teaching us through his song about our history. We was kings and queens. So that's a great way of thinking of us now. So here's another thing too. Where does gold come from? I learned this from my cousin. The gold comes from the stars. It explodes and lands, and guess where it lands too? In Africa, which makes you think. A lot of Europeans took a lot of gold from Africa and made it currency, when our ancestors only wore it for gold for ceremony purposes or some important function. So we wasn't training for money, we were just wearing for ceremony purposes. They made gold valuable to what we think in our mind. That's cognitive thinking, to make it, because we don't have to, but they made gold so installing us about money, that's all we fight for. So they made that currency for you to work for the rest of your life. You feel me? So that's a way of thinking. You have to think with your brain, like, where is all this stuff coming for you, with you when you die? You can't take no gold, you can't take no materials, you can't take nothing with you. The only thing you lucky to take with you is your spirit and your soul on that concept. So here's another thing too, to go with Nas' concept. Many of the most important Greeks reported to have studied in Egypt, which was formerly known as ancient Kemet, which was Thales, Solon, Plato, and Eleusis. That's his name. Weird names, but that's who went to learn that in Africa. And it's like the saying, you let people in your house and it looks good, it leads people to be envious and what you got. Well, true that. Think about it. Think about it naturally. Some people, even my friend, I went to his house. We went with new friends. He realized something was going because people love to see all those new games, all these different things. And that same day, he realized his thing got stolen by the people he invited and saw it for the first time. When they seen that stuff for the first time, I bet you they said how they gonna take it over when they went back to their countries. So that's how it happened to Africa. When he said Africa was almost round naked, that was Nas, he said it, but it's true too. And here's one more last thing. Africa had the most resources: gold, diamond, oil, pearls, and much more. European countries are still taking resources till this day, which we know they still taking it to this day. Everybody owns a part of Africa because they want all that resources. So what? They can make money, and when they make money, they control people because money controls people. Money makes you get things, get you off of jail, get you out of any kind of thing. So so this is what they did. They wanted to make us slaves and workers for the rest of our lives because this is what we do for this money purposes. And this is how they became powerful. So that was a strong concept to let people know that we need to know that Africa was the first civilization. We had the first government. We had the first every kind of thing that you thought about. They just maneuvered their own way of government and maneuver their whole way of life, and then maneuver their whole way with our spirituality and turn it into religion. For what? Business purposes and other different things. So this is a very important lesson, and I will do more chapters. Thank you.
All right, my brothers and sisters, this is historian Daniel Humphrey doing chapter 2 of his documentary, Finding Your Identity, The Search for Who We Are. Thank you so much, Danny. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Until the next chapter, peace out. God bless.
Bless.